Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
You're listening to Believe You Me with Michael the Count Bisping and Paul Felder.
Well, it is another beautiful day, Paul, here in Southern California. I don't know what the weather's like where you are because you got your jacket on, but here it's warm, it's sunny. Look at this. I've got sunny, summery shorts on.
Oh, well.
Oh, mate.
It is not that here. It is like 43 degrees and dumping rain and windy and miserable. I went from Vegas where it was like high 60s, 70 degrees and sunny. And now it is, I feel like I never left London. Ever since I got back from London, I feel like the weather has really, I've had a couple good days, but today is not one of those days. But I'm back home. I'm happy to be home. I took the kids to like a Bluey camp on Sunday, right off the plane, dude. And it was a 6 a.m. flight. We were out not late, but late enough where by the time I got back to my room, packed my bag, fell asleep, I had like 2 hours of sleep and then on a flight. So I was in that Bluey camp, like trying to stay awake.
I can only imagine because my flight was later than yours and it was kind of late. So we had the show. We'll talk about the fights in a second. Wasn't the best night of fights. There was some skill on display, but there were some snoozers as well. We'll talk about that. Obviously, we've got UFC 314. We're going to go through that. We're going to make predictions. We're going to break it all down. But yeah, we had the fights. Then we went out for dinner. Went out for a very nice Mexican joint.
Yeah, I like that spot.
Paul Felder breaks out 100 milligram edible at the table and everyone has a little chip. I don't really partake. I'm definitely a lightweight. And then an hour later, I'm shadow boxing in the casino. All hell's breaking loose.
It's so funny too, because when you take that, you gotta, everyone's waiting for it to kick in. Then as I'm like, we're eating dinner, I'm looking around the table and I'm starting to see everybody smiling a little more. Everyone's kind of laughing and chatting. And then when we went and had another drink, and we weren't there long, but the whole time we were there, we were all just chatterboxes. I won't say who was all there. We'll take full blame for all of it.
Yeah,
but I mean,
just us.
You know, but when in Vegas, when in Rome, as they say. So, I mean,
I hold you perfectly accountable. But the good news is that I went to bed early. I left you all at the bar because I was standing there. I get weird on that stuff. I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself. I'll get the round of drinks. So I'm standing there waiting for the barman. And it's just taking forever. And in my head, I'm having a full-on total conversation. How do I look? What am I doing? What am I doing?
Does he know? Does he know?
Then two guys came over. Hey, I heard you think you're pretty tough. You think you can take me? They were trying to be funny and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, I do. Go away. Leave me alone. Yeah. And then I turned around, got you guys a drink. I'm like, you know what, guys? I'm going to bed.
I'm out.
I'm out of here.
We only stayed 5 more minutes after that. And then I went up, but then I went down a YouTube rabbit hole and I was watching, there was some triathlon that was happening in freaking Singapore. So I watched that live because it was early in the morning for them. And I got sucked in and it was another one of those nights where I fell asleep, woke up, the computer's playing some random, video because it's just cycling through the next thing. And it was definitely a struggle by the time I got back. And then I was telling you, like, my mom wasn't doing great, went and had to check on her, but she's all good now. She's coming back home from the hospital just for precautionary stuff today. But yeah, we had a good time at the Bluey thing too. And you know what? I should have brought some of that. I should have taken some of that gummy for that Bluey experience. I'd have been in there.
My night ended with me. I was getting ready for bed. And, obviously I don't partake. And I was feeling very good. And I take my shirt off and I'm looking in the mirror. I'm like, looking good here. I was giving it the full American Psycho. I'm like, I need to get into bed. Lighting. What is going on?
You get the light. You get the right lighting, especially at Durango. Sometimes you get that down light. And if you got a little chisel going on. Yeah, it looks good, man.
Got the shadows.
Do the same.
Anyway, enough about that stuff. We do have Harrington and Brian in the background as well, and we will be doing questions later. But UFC Vegas, whatever 135, whatever it was,
whatever number they are.
Emmett versus Murphy. Not a lot of finishes. kind of a slower night in that regard. Listen, the fights aren't always guaranteed to be bangers. There was a couple of people that I thought, like Tavres Finney, he's definitely a huge prospect, 10-0. He was on the contender 3 times, an unbelievable wrestler, a beast of a human being. And I don't want to sit here and rain on his parade. I think he was very open afterwards at the post-fight presser. He was saying he could have done more, and he definitely could. It's not enough in this day and age to be pushing people up against the fence, holding them down, and he had to go through the contender series 3 times. So Dana knew that going into it, and the last time he got a first-round stoppage. So it's good to see that he was kind of playing down his success, if you will, and he wasn't happy with the performance, because I don't think anyone was happy with that performance, if I'm honest, with respect.
Yeah, I mean, you got the win, but it was a very, very safe performance, and I get it. It's your UFC debut, but again, the knock on him on the contender series was the same thing, right? Not enough activity. When you are that solid of a human with that much natural strength and power, you get those takedowns. All I really want from Finney is to be more aggressive with ground and pound. I do not mind if he wants to get the fight to the ground. I don't mind. You want to wrestle? I don't care. My boy Pat Sabbatini did the same thing in the co-main event. He wrestled, but he was aggressive. He was striking. There was transitions. There was a little bit of a threat.
Still, he was trying to finish.
He was trying to get a finish, and I just felt like you can't just hold. And again, it was the first one. And he did that on the contender series and then got better as he went on. So I only hope that the more experience he gets in the octagon, but again, it was still in the apex. It was familiar territory. I expected a little more from him, but ultimately got the win.
Especially when somebody knows they can take them down whenever they want. You know what I'm saying?
Throw a little bit of else out there. Yeah. Then
you can take chances, right? When you really struggle to take someone down and then they get on top of you, they're like, shit, I got him down, right? I don't want to mess around here because if he gets up, I could be screwed again. He was taking him down, picking him up, walking across to his corner. He's that good of a wrestler. But when you take someone down, you've got to open up to land some strikes. We know. But when you do that, you give the opportunity for people to stand. He's 11-0. He'll learn from that and hopefully he improves. I want to give a shout out to Skeletor, Rhys McKee, 4 fights in the UFC, 4 losses in the UFC. But that doesn't reflect how good this guy is. He's a good human being. He's a great fighter. Saturday night went up against Daniel Frunza, another guy coming off the contender, dropped him 4 times in the first round, butchered him. And then fair play to Frunza. He started fighting his way back into it a little bit for like the last 90 seconds or so. Yeah. And then of course, the doc stops it. In fact, Brian, just play that video. But I'm happy for Rhys McKee, man. It must feel awful to go in there 4 times and lose 4 times. And you've got the skill.
That's it, right? You on the regional scene, when you went back there, you rattled off wins. You looked dominant in doing it. So it really just sucked to see every time he got another shot at the big show, he just fell short. And he was in exciting fights. I mean, Chimaev obviously is a freak of nature and he kind of buzzsawed through him. But a lot of the other fights, he'd get beat up for a little bit. Then he kind of little too late start to find himself back into that fight. And this one, I love that he came out and right away, first round, got really aggressive. And Frunza, I do tip my cap to that guy because he was battered badly. And he still managed to come back like you're talking about at the end of that round. And we were saying on the desk, I feel we got robbed of potentially another round. And then we saw the cut on the lip. And I was like, well, good on the doctors and the referees for stopping it.
My God. Look at that. Look at that. That is disgusting. Robbie
like
Lawler
his lip just gave birth. That's what it looks like.
Robbie Lawler, Alistair Overeem.
Yep.
Who did? Jorginho did the Overeems.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're the 2 lip ones. Fair play to Brad Tavares. Brad Tavares Saturday night entered legendary status. He tied
you, baby,
the most wins in the middleweight division. So fair play to him. He had a good.
You got to come back now, Mike. We can't have that, dude. You got to rattle off a couple here.
And when I made my book, there was a lot of records in the back of it. They're all gone. But records are made to be broken. It's okay. It's okay. Got to give a shout out to Ode Osborne. Got a slick, straight left knockout in the second round.
And I picked him, man. You know how it is on the desk, Mike. When you get a pick and nobody supports you on it, you're the only one going with that guy. And then I start getting nervous. I'm like, yeah, that kid is good that he's fighting. Damn, maybe I shouldn't have picked him. But I trained for years with O'Day at Rufus Sport before he started moving on and eventually moved to Vegas. And he was just such a good dude, man. He's such a good worker and just nice guy to hang around with and good training partner. So to see him go and do that, I was like,
well, O'Day Osborne, he was another one. He was on a 3-fight losing streak, you know. So if he'd have lost that one, you never know, right? It could have been, he could have got his papers. But when he fought Rodriguez at the Sphere, almost finished him there. Jeff Alfilio, okay, he got caught out there, but he's very talented, is what I'm trying to say. It's just that this sport is a bitch. Fair play to him. I get in there, I interview him, say, beautiful right hand. This is no left.
I know. Like, I was sitting out. I was sitting out there.
Fair play. And then, of course, we had the Korean Khabib. He made short work of Cortavius Romeus. Great wrestling. Your boy, Pat Sabatini. Talk us through that one, Paul. He did well.
It's just, dude, you know what was so fun to see about that, Michael? I was at the PI getting a quick little pad session in with Coach John, their head coach there, Marquez MMA. And I was watching Pat do his shakeout before the fight. Bro, everything that he landed in the grappling was things that he was specifically drilling. When Brito went for that guillotine and Pat scooped under the high crotch, picked him up and slammed him down, I saw him drill that about 15 times up against the wall with his training partner. Guy threw on the guillotine, reach under, pick him up, and dump him. Pat's so strong. He's compact. And I was good to see his wrestling at distance was really effective in that fight too, because Brito is really hard to get down to the ground. And man, Pat was just doing it at will and just striking enough, right? We talked about it with Sean that you kind of got to at least engage a little bit. He did just enough to get Brito to get frustrated, open up, and then took him down. And Brito did give him a gift in round one. He gave him that kick to the body off the bat against a grappler. Big mistake. Big just hole in the game plan as far as what you should be throwing. And then his corner told him no more kicks. Round two came out through a leg kick. So I just think he was a little frazzled.
Well, I would never dream of giving Pat Sabatini any kind of grappling advice because he's very good at that. He doesn't need any advice from me. But Paul, he's got to come out of his shell on the microphone a little bit, man.
I know. He's trying. He does.
I mean, he's a lovely guy. He's a sweetheart. Yeah. He's very effective in the octagon. I was doing it. It was like almost one-word answers. I'm like, bro, give me a little something. Come on.
He tried. He tried with the shark bit where he's like, I was watching Jaws and, we watched Jaws over and over again and I'm ready. And then he did have a nice line with Megan O'Leary backstage. We watched it on the desk and he said, everyone's always saying, oh, this guy's a tough matchup for you. And he's like, I woke up one day and in a Pat Sabatini way, which where it's just very kind of serious and quiet. He's like, I woke up one day and I realized I'm the problem for these guys in the division. I'm the bad matchup in this division. And I was like, here we go, Pat. Just baby steps, man. Baby steps.
But that's the thing though, isn't it? Right? Because most guys, I know I did, I know you probably did, and certainly now this newer generation, they all grow up watching mixed martial arts. They grow up watching the UFC and feel inspired and they want to do that,
Yeah.
And then you get there and you got a little bit of imposter syndrome. And it does take a while. And even though all fighters we're all alpha males, for want of a better term, we're all very confident. We all believe in ourselves. In our local neighborhoods, we can all handle ourselves and don't mess with me type thing. But it does take a while before you really start thinking, hold on a minute, never mind stressing out about this guy. I'm the issue here. They got to worry about me. To get to that mentality can take a while for some people.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And then even when you get the confidence to be in there as a fighter, the microphone is still another whole different challenge, right? To get good at that and to start embracing saying, and being yourself and making the call outs and being a little more aggressive doesn't come naturally to everybody like it did to you back in the day when you were on that microphone.
Some
guys are just good at it, man. You know what I mean? Some guys just naturally get that.
My first ever UFC 66, Chuck versus Tito 2, a win against Eric Schaefer. And then I cringe when I see it. I mean, looking back, it wasn't that bad. I'm like, you light heavyweights, everyone, I'm coming for you. Watch your backs. And then that was it. And I'm like, oh, you're a dickhead. I set my stall out nice and early. But anyway, Lerone Murphy, Josh Emmett, as I said on the microphone, a very intelligent performance from Lerone Murphy.
Yeah.
Josh Emmett's great. right? As a human being, he's awesome, right? He's just a really nice guy. He's an incredible fighter. He's got massive firepower, and Lerone played it smart. Was it the most exciting, crazy fight you've ever seen? No, because Lerone knows if he plays that game, there's a really good chance you're going to get clipped. I thought it was a clear victory for Lerone Murphy. I know a lot of people felt differently. Certainly online, I was getting all the, you're biased, Bisping, and all that shit.
Oh,
like, shut up.
Yeah,
shut up. Lerone was outlanding him. He was being very slick, nice head movement, nice circular lateral movement. Yeah, a very intelligent performance.
Yeah, I was really impressed with how he didn't take the bait, right? Josh Emmett was really trying to get him to just throw leather, pointing at the ground. I thought it was funny that the first time that he really started pointing at the ground, Lerone cracked him and sat him down with that left hand towards the end of the fight. And I love that he kind of had a very good game plan when Emmett would crash in. He was trying to throw elbows, boom, in consecutive order, just over and over again, anytime he tried to close that distance. And I like that he went a little bit heel on the crowd there, like, 16-0, what, like, don't let these dudes boo you after a 5-round performance like that. Yeah, it wasn't a barn burner, but he couldn't be in that kind of fight if he wanted to safely win that fight.
So when we were doing the interview, the Apex, not the biggest place, the Josh Emmett fans, they were booing so loud, and I could hardly hear Lerone. And it was really hard to conduct an interview because they were so loud. And I was like, guys, what's your issue? He hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't offended anybody. He hasn't disrespected Josh Emmett. He's been very respectful leading up to the fight, and he won. Okay, I understand you will come and you support your local guy. Obviously, Josh trains out of Sacramento, so he probably had a lot of people coming down and supporting him, and I commend them for that. But then also, you got to be a good sportsman. When the other guy wins fair and square, you can't stand there and just shit on his big moment. He just beat Josh Emmett. He's 16-0-1 now, and obviously another fight or so, and he's probably going to fight for the belt soon. So, I get it. They were pissed off, though. They're his boys.
And it's so intimate in there. You can hear, I could hear people yelling out, I put $500 on you, or hit him with this, or trying to say funny things. When you're in the Apex, especially since I'm working the desk, I would just go and sit behind you guys, and I don't have a headset on. So I can just hear every single thing that the people in the Apex are yelling. And you see fighters over time, some people get really caught up in that. You could hear everything and they'll be interacting. I remember Chris Gutierrez the one time, I forget who he was fighting, but he was chirping back at people in the crowd. It's like, you can't let that distract you during the fight. You remember that?
Yeah. No, I do. You can't do that. All right, this episode is sponsored by The Perfect Jeans. And if you are looking for perfect jeans, then look no further. Look at these bad boys. I'm telling you, these things fit great. They look fantastic. And you know what? They're not going to break the bank. I love to wear jeans, okay? But a lot of the time, you go online, the jeans that I buy, they're like $300-400. What is going on? If you want quality, if you want good fabrics, if you want them to stretch and you want them to fit exactly how you want, then look no further than the Perfect Jean. These jeans fit like they were custom made. They would stretch like you wouldn't believe. And as I said, they look fantastic. The fabric is as soft as a baby's bottom, but no babies were involved or compromised, we promise. And they are durable enough to survive her pulling them down daily. So if you're looking for a good pair of jeans, and by the way, it doesn't matter if you're long, you're short, you're thick, you're thin. If you got a weird body like Harrington, we're going to stick you in a pair of jeans and you are going to look like a dream with the Perfect Jean. And by the way, for a limited time, our listeners are going to get 15% off the first order, and they're going to get free shipping when they go to theperfectjean.nyc or Google The Perfect Jean and use the code BELIEVE15 for 15% off. The Perfect Jean doesn't stop there, though. They do a nice line of t-shirts. The Perfect Tee has just enough stretch to hide the beer belly whilst accentuating your arms and your chest for that flawless look. It is as soft as butter without shrinking in the wash like all your other tees, by the way. It is just perfect. The Perfect Jean always has free shipping, exchanges, and returns. You can have peace of mind knowing that your order is completely risk-free. So stop crushing your balls in uncomfortable jeans by going to theperfectjean.nyc. Our listeners get 15% off the first order plus free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges when you use the code BELIEVE15 15 at checkout. I wear these jeans, not just for the ad read. I wear them all the time. I get a lot of compliments. And you get 15% off new customers when they go to theperfectjean.nyc with the code BELIEVE15. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that the Believe You Me podcast sent you. Fuck your khakis. Fuck your shitty jeans. Fuck your ridiculously expensive jeans and get yourself over to theperfectjean.nyc and use the code BELIEVE15. Harrington, should we get Harrington on the show for a second? Just real quick before we get into the good stuff. UFC 314, of course. Big fight card. Harrington, how are you?
I'm doing excellent, Mr. Bisping. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Before we move on from the fights at the weekend, any takeaways that Mike Harrington would like to bring up? Perhaps, let me see. Hold on. You want to talk about Salita Alencar versus Vanessa Demopoulos? He always wants to talk about the women.
Yeah, and definitely the first women's fight on the card. That's where I was thinking to go.
It wasn't bad, to be fair.
For sure. Yeah, no, I mean, the only thing I found interesting was you guys already talked about it, the Tavres Finney fight. The fact that one judge had it 30-27 the other way. Oh. And it's like, if you look at the numbers from the fight, that might have been the right scorecard.
Yeah, if you only look at the numbers, especially like if you didn't watch the fight and you looked at significant strikes, you'd be like, well, clearly this other guy won that fight.
Over 3 rounds, 4 significant strikes.
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up, Harrington, because I said this on commentary. It's like, look, listen, Tavres Finney, you clearly deserved to win the fight. Who was the judge? Tony Weeks?
I think
who was it?
So.
Yeah, he's a boxing judge, so you can clearly see that. But even though, I'm glad Tavres got the win because he deserved to win, but it wasn't the most exciting fight, and we talked about that already. However, I said this on commentary. Let that be a lesson to everybody out there that if you do that, if you just hold someone, if you push them up against the fence, you might get some crazy judge that's going to take away the victory, because that's not what this sport is about.
No. And the criteria is supposed to be damage. And the wrestling, now they're really looking at it. It's just a change of position. So if you take the guy down and literally don't throw strikes, there is a very good chance that you could lose that round if the other guy or girl lands something clean. The problem is really that Valentin never really landed much clean either, which is why it was tough to give it to him. If he was able to do a little more in each one of those rounds, like legitimately just land a few really good clean strikes on the feet and then maybe some elbows off his back and not get hit at all, he might have won that fight. But the third round he did, I thought he won that round.
Just
to give him all 3 rounds would be tough.
Just in general, I want to see nastiness. That's why I go on when I'm commentating. It's like, what are you doing? You're on top of the guy. Go for something, ground the pound, progress, pass the side control, get mount, drop elbows, posture up, throw punches. The game plan isn't to take someone down and lie on them. It never bloody is. I would like to see a little bit more nastiness. But anyway, there we go. Well done to Lerone Murphy. Should we get into UFC 314 or... I don't want to talk about this, but we'll just have a quick laugh at his expense. The one and only Ariel Helwani. Oh, God. Quick backstory. I did an interview with Carl Froch, the British boxer, legendary British boxer, multiple-time world champion, 12 rounds with Carl Froch. One of the questions, he says, who's the biggest dickhead in MMA? I said Vitor Belfort or Tim Kennedy, just kind of in a silly way, really, And then at the end, he's like, oh, I thought you were going to say Ariel Helwani. I'm like, oh, yeah, well, he is a dickhead. Don't get me wrong. But let's not talk about him. He'll go off and make a whole video about it. And what did he do? He went and did a whole video about it, about how he feels sorry for me and all this. And then this is where it gets ultra pathetic. Then he's clipped the video and he's put it on his own social media. I saw it on the plane. He's posted it to his Facebook. Do you know what I mean? He's posted that clip to his Facebook. I looked at the comments. All the comments are saying, Helwani, you're a dickhead, right? I think you're a dickhead. Carl Froch thinks you're a dickhead. I don't think that's because I'm trying to curry favor with Dana White. I just think you're a dickhead. And that's it. The narcissism of this guy, my God, it's hilarious.
Yeah. And I have not personally had any beef interactions, right, with Ariel. But when I saw that, because I saw your interview And I saw you not say that at first, and then Carl brought it back up, and you went and said what you said. I knew that something was going to come of it. And when I actually read it at first. I didn't even hear it. I just read the transcript of what he said. And I kept scrolling through what he said. And I'm like, I saw what Mike said, which was a quick little quip about how you feel about him. It really does drive me nuts that you go into that much of a detail and talking about working at the apex and getting pats on the head. And I thought, you know what, Ariel, I thought that was really too far. I thought that was complete bullshit, to be completely honest with you, because you know what? I get those same jobs. I work at the apex too. And I'll tell you what, whether I'm working 314 or the UFC apex, guess what? I get paid the same amount of money to be there, and it's not $5,000.
It's
Ariel,
way more, multiples of $5,000, which just shows again how little he knows about the sport. And it's not surprising, because the last time he was at a UFC event, because he said he feels sorry for me. Last time he was at a UFC event was UFC 199. When I became champion of the world, and he was thrown out because he can't keep his mouth shut, because he can't toe the line, and now he's banished from the sport. So don't feel sorry for me, Ariel. I get to go to the events. I get to walk in and feel the energy and the vibe and the atmosphere, and I get to see all these young up-and-coming fighters and speak to them and be a part of it. And whatever capacity it is, I love that, and you love that, and we love that, because this sport is part of our DNA. He's sitting there in his little broom cupboard doing like his CNN or BBC News version of MMA coverage, okay? And just shut up. Just let it go, Ariel. You're in your mid-40s, man. What are you going to do? Respond to everybody like this? Anyway, it actually makes me laugh. It's so pathetic.
Yeah, I was kind of amused by it. And again, this is somebody, I got no grudge against anybody in that area of MMA and what do you call it? Reporting and things like that. But yeah, that kind of bothered me too, just because I kind of associate myself with all those same things. Like, and I don't do anything to get a pat on the head from Dana White. Dana wasn't even there this weekend. You know what I mean? Like, he's doing his own thing. He's not worried about every little thing that we say on a podcast or that we say in our personal lives. It's just not. It's just not how it is. We're not all kissing the ring and doing all that kind of bullshit. You know, he's
this whole
put us in these positions to do our thing.
I've changed. This is what he said. He said, oh, yeah, I used to be a bad boy and this and that. And now look at him. It's like, you don't know me. You've never known me. I used to work with him a little bit at Fox Sports before he got fired. And then he went off and did something else, right? He doesn't know me. He's never known me. And if he did know me, he'd know I am exactly the same. Exactly the same. And this is another point, what you brought up there about the Apex, about the fight cards, about you. We all do this job. It just disrespects everyone involved with it. You know, these people went out there Saturday night and fought their asses off. We're not going to sit there and talk shit and lower the status of their achievements and what they're going through and all their sacrifices. You know, to do that is very, very disrespectful. Yeah, you know, the Apex sometimes, of course, it's more energetic in a big stadium, but it does serve a purpose, and it does give a platform to a lot of up-and-coming fighters to be able to go out there, improve, get on TV, get on ESPN, build their brand, get valuable experience. Of course, he's gone. He's old news. So his whole agenda, like I say, is the BBC or he's CNN. He's just got an agenda. He just talks shit all the time.
And God forbid that, you know, after you retire, you become less of a aggressive bad boy in your life with a family and a career. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's an insult. Yeah.
You mean, hold on a minute. You mean at 46, I'm not quite as unhinged,
aggressive,
as what I was when I was 25. Yeah. I would say that's something to be very happy about.
Yeah, I said that's a good thing.
Anyway, there you go.
I wonder what he's going to say about me now.
No, it's okay. It's okay. He'll do a 45-minute segment.
Can't be worse than what Colby said, right?
Just keep our names out your mouth and we'll be good. Should we talk about Alexander Volkanovski, or should we work our way up the card? No. We'll go main event down.
You want to start up and down?
Well,
I was just looking at
Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. Man. Harrington, do we have any storylines, any news, Harrington, regarding 314? Any talking points before we get into like actual analysis and predictions and stuff?
Well, I put in a story or two for just about every fight in the on the main card. So if you guys are going to start with Volk versus Diego Lopes. The biggest relevant talking point I could find is both guys have mentioned that they want to fight Movsar Evloev next, and they've talked about it during fight week. So I'm wondering, is that
Volk and Diego both said that?
They both said Movsar is next.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Diego wants to win back, and then Volkanovski was like, look, I mean, he said it on this show. He said he wants to remain an active champion. So Movsar being the guy in the division who has the most wins over the highest level opponents and is undefeated and on an 8-fight win streak. That's who he wants to fight next.
It's not that you're boring me, Harrington. I'm not trying to do a Mr. Me.
Get your chopsticks.
I'm telling you, I'm going to get this little bastard in a minute. Hey, I got to say fair play to both those guys, because out of everyone that you could choose, right? Yeah. Movsar Evloev wouldn't
be my go-to.
No, you could say, well, there's Lerone Murphy out there. He's 16-0. That's not a diss on Lerone, by the way. There's a bunch of other people that you could call out than Movsar Evloev. So fair play to both of them.
Yeah, because he's a bastard to deal with, man. I mean, the wrestling and the scrambling ability, again, he's not going to stand and trade with you. You know what kind of fight you're in for when you face that guy, and it's a tough one. But I like that they're calling out, and I see why Diego would want it, right? He had a competitive fight with him. He hurt him on the feet a couple times. So, I mean, that I understand. But for Volk, I love it, man. He just wants to stay busy, wants to keep that belt and keep it on rolling. And, I did a little DraftKings betting thing on that, and he's only a slight favorite going into this one. Volkanovski. I was surprised by that. I guess because of Volk's only a slight favorite, like minus 155 or minus 150.
I was texting my wife. It's sweaty in here, Paul. I apologize, man. We're in the mid-80s today.
Oh, well,
we're
come over to Philadelphia, man. You'll cool off real quick.
It's always sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah. So when we talk about this matchup, I mean, the one thing, what is Volk?
44. 44 here.
Say again? Oh, it's 44?
44 degrees here, yeah.
Yeah, so I hate bringing it up. It's the age of Volkanovski, right? Simple as that. You can't deny it. You can't avoid it. You can't look past it. It's just very, very relevant. We all know about the curse or the stats. Once they hit 35, no one's won a title fight, I believe. I think that's the stat. This fly's doing my head in. And, of course, he's lost 3 out of his last 4. Forget about the 2 to Islam Makhachev. That's going up to 155. They were a long time ago now as well. And then he fights Topuria. He was doing really well in that fight, but he was clipped. Regardless, he's had a year away. I don't think that this is a situation with Volkanovski to where the chin's gone. You know what I'm saying? Like some fighters by the end of their careers couldn't take a punch. Chuck Liddell, perfect example. Yep. I don't think it's that. Far from it. It was Islam and Topuria back to back. No shame. Had a year away, coming back, fighting for the belt. Diego Lopes, fast, quick, very skillful,
aggressive.
How do you see this one?
I see this fight being pretty back and forth between both guys. I do feel like a finish is going to happen, and I'm not really sure. I'll save my pick for when we start doing that kind of stuff. But I think if it's an early knockout, I think for sure that would be leaning towards Diego Lopes. And I think if it goes longer, and especially past the 3rd round, I'm definitely leaning towards Volkanovski just because of all the 5-round experience. And, dude, the thing about Volk that I love in this one is I actually love all that time off, because he talked a lot on the countdown. I was watching that today before we came on the show, and just the time that he got to spend with the family, relax, to be a dad for a little bit. And then really he was worried about when he got back into camp, am I still going to have that same hunger? And he said, as soon as I started training, he's been obsessed with getting this. And he's been training for a while because he thought maybe he'd be fighting Topuria. So he got on the jump really quick with that. And then when he got the switch, just kind of changed strategy, changed game plan a little bit. But I do think both guys are extremely hungry. I think that one is going to be just a crazy fight with a mix of everything. That's what I love about that matchup too. We're definitely going to see grappling. We're going to see somebody get dropped. We're going to see submission attempts. It's going to be the best of what you love in MMA in that fight.
And think about this. If you're Volkanovski, if you think you're getting ready for Topuria again, you've got to elevate everything. Yeah. And if Volk's trying to elevate, who already trains with some of the best grapplers in the world, Craig Jones and stuff like that, trains with really, really good strikers, beat Max Holloway, 3 times. All right, 2 of them are really, really close, but still, regardless, he beat Max Holloway 3 times, went on that crazy tear. The only thing that concerns me as a fan, and I want to say, not friend, but, I'd say I'm pretty pally with Volk. We have each other's phone numbers. Yeah, I'd like to say a friend. And Diego's awesome as well. The speed of Diego Lopes, I think that is going to potentially be a factor. I'm not saying it will be. I'm just saying that's something that concerns me. The way he came out and dropped Brian Ortega when they fought, nearly had him finished in the first round, so it's going to be explosive. Brian and Harrington, join the show. Let's get some 4-way fight picks. There we go.
Up,
there we go. Harrington, how do you see this one going? Who wins?
I don't know, man. Like I've just seen Volkanovski do it too many times, right? And I've seen, I saw Dan Ige take Diego Lopes to the limit. I've seen, although Lopez did have that choke locked in pretty late, I've seen Movsar beat him. I've only seen guys spark out cold Alexander Volkanovski, and with a year off, I don't see the path to it. So I'm going to say Volkanovski in a very hard fought 5-round decision.
Yeah, because I don't think many people, if anyone, have that kind of power that Topuria does, right? Look at what he did. Brian, I've got to say, your hair is looking luscious today, man. Have you had
I got a new brush. I'm killing it. Boar hair.
Bro.
Boar
I'm
bristles.
telling you, you're looking like Beauty and the Beast. I don't know what the Beast is called, but when he's all at the end and he's got the suit on and everything, he's looking all dashing. That's Brian
today.
Looks
a little retarded, so I'll take it.
No, it's good. It's good. Brian, what's you picking this fight?
To be honest, I think I called last year when we predicted who was going to be the champion at the end of the year. I said Diego Lopes was going to be the champion. I think that I was just a little early with my prediction. I think he beats Volk. I think he's going to catch him. Like you said, he's faster. His striking is wild. His grappling is pretty great. I think he just has all the tools. And Volk's on the way out. I love him. I've never bet against him before, but let's be honest. I don't believe he has too many more championship fights left.
I
Well,
like it. I like the bold.
Miles.
I do like it.
That's any which way you slice it, you can't argue with what you just said. You can't argue.
Good points.
That he's on the way out. He's not going to be here in 5 years. We know that. Will he be in 1? That's a question. 2, probably not. 3, without a shadow of a doubt, no. So you're right. He's definitely on the way out. Paul, official pick time. Put your money where your mouth is. Let's go.
Yeah.
We need a forfeit, guys. Think of a forfeit.
As much as I like the points that Brian's making, I'm kind of more in the Harrington boat here, where I find it really hard to bet against him. I do like that he took time off. I love everything in the interviews. Again, this could be something that we look back on after the fact and you're like, oh, well, of course he's going to say all those things. But I'm backing Volk on this one. Again, I'm either calling a late stoppage, round 4 or 5, or like you talked about, Harrington, just a pretty clean decision on this one. But if it's early, like I said, Brian, I agree that if he gets out there like he does and did against Ortega and so many others, and against Sabbatini, the way he just catches you early and then just is relentless, it could go to him, but I'm picking Volk.
Well, yeah, that's a good point, because again, the speed is what it comes down to. And that's one of the main things that go as you start to get older. And it might not even be noticeable to yourself or your coaches, but it's just microseconds. You're slowing down a little bit, and a punch that you might have been able to just miss by a whisker's edge in the past, this time you don't quite get out of the way and you start to get caught because you're just ever so slightly slowing down to where it's not even really visible. However, saying that, he was beaten by Movsar Evloev. He was beaten by Nate Richardson. He was beaten by Joanderson Brito on the Contender. These were a long time ago. This is a new version. He has improved, but Volk's seen this style a million times. I don't think he takes Volk down and subs him on the ground. If he went toe-to-toe with Islam Makhachev for 5 rounds and wasn't really in trouble of being submitted one time, I don't think that would be the path to victory for Diego Lopes. He has got a chance of catching him, but I think with the footwork and the switch dancing and the experience and all of it put together, I think Volk comes out of this and wins a 5-round decision.
I think if Diego Lopes wins by submission, it's going to be because Volk took him down.
I think if Diego wins by submission, it's because he clips him, ground and pounds
Or
him,
that, yeah.
and forces him to make a mistake. Because then you don't know what the going on. You're like, you know. Yeah. All right. We'll talk about
Paddy. Forfeit.
Yeah, go on.
For that fight specifically, everybody knows about Marmite, right? Like the Australian treat of salty, yeasty, gross stuff.
But doesn't Mike like Marmite?
Turns
I
out,
love Marmite.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, this is not a good forfeit.
Yeah, forget it then.
I like it though. I like it. We have Marmite. We have Vegemite. That's the Australian version.
There's a Mexican version.
There is.
It's called
that's bad. El Marmita.
Maggie Wurzi liquid seasoning, and it has a yeast spread that is made. I'm sorry, it's made from fermented wheat, and it's often cited as having a similar salty flavor profile. So I was thinking we do, if you pick the Diego side, and they lose, you got to do the Mexican Marmite. If you pick Volkanovski, he loses, you got to do the Australian Marmite.
You got to be brave to be taking on Mexican Marmite. I'm sorry. Harrington.
That's why they're so tough.
I tell you what, there's been some Mexican Marmite in people's underpants after a dodgy meal.
You know what's so crazy too? You know what's crazy is that, and it's because he's lived there and trained there and done it, but he's Brazilian. Like, I think we even forget that Diego Lopes is actually a Brazilian.
I know, we do. Anyway, we've made our picks and we got to stick to them. All right, this episode is sponsored by Hims. And if you are follically challenged upstairs, if you're starting to recede a little bit, if you're older and you're getting bolder, it doesn't have to be that way. Hims is here to rescue you. Hims is here to keep that hair looking fuller, thicker, shinier, just better. You're going to be more attractive to the opposite sex. People are going to be commenting, my God, look at that head of hair on that guy, because Hims is here to save the day, and they will provide you with convenient access to a range of hair loss treatments that actually work, all from the comfort of your couch. Hims makes treating hair loss simple, with doctor-trusted options and clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil that can regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. You choose from personalized chewable, oral, spray, and serum treatments to find out what works best for you. The process is simple. It's all done online, and there's no uncomfortable doctor visits. Just answer a few questions, and a medical provider will determine if the treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it's all sent directly to you for free. No insurance is needed. One low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Hims has hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, and they can help you get your confidence back too, with visibly thicker and fuller hair. Hims has hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers that can help you get your confidence back as well, with visibly thicker and fuller hair. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/believe. That is HIMS, hims.com/believe for your personalized hair loss treatment options. Hims.com/believe. Results vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Harrington, I see you put in the notes here. The price of eggs have got so high that families, we'll go back to the hardcore analysis in a little second, guys. Just going to take a moment to have a little silliness and probably end up getting into some political conversation about tariffs by the looks of this shit. But it says the price of eggs has got so high, Harrington, this is your cue. I'm talking to you, buddy, that families are switching to marshmallows and potatoes for Easter egg dyeing.
I mean, the dye kit, the price of the dye kits themselves hasn't gone up, so if you can get any kind of a white food that's starchy and is, super easy to get that dye to stick to, it's a pretty easy switch when you're looking at like $6, $7, $8 for a carton of eggs for a thing you're going to hard boil and hide around the house and forget about,
and never eat.
Hold on. We can't just talk about this unless we have an example of the price of eggs. Brian, can you look up the average cost of a carton of eggs today as to what they were, I don't know, 2 years ago? Because I do hear this a lot. We have this little cafe by our house, Latte Dar, it's called. Lovely little breakfast place. We go there quite a lot. Last time I went, it was really quiet. I said, what's going on? And he said, it's the cost of eggs. because we have to obviously charge the customer more. So the place is really, really quiet these days. I was like,
Average
oh shit.
cost is $4.95 as of January 2025. Now I will say that.
But what was it? What did it used to be? Do you know?
I have both. I'm seeing it reached a peak in February of this year of $5.90 for a dozen, compared to $1.33 in August of 2020.
So that makes sense, because in the last quarter of 2024 alone, they killed 20 million egg-bearing chickens. It takes anywhere between 18 and 24 weeks for a chicken to become egg-bearing. So we're going to start hitting the replacement chickens soon, because we're about that timing. So the price of eggs are about to drop dramatically again.
Yeah, no, and that's very good information, Brian. Was that because of what? Was there a bird flu?
Bird flu, like
a bird flu.
100 over 2024, 166 million reported hens were killed from bird flu. So that explains the price of eggs rising, because we don't import eggs. Like we make eggs here.
Yeah, can I ask a question on that? Because that seems to make sense, because that sounds like, they're a more valuable commodity, but they don't seem to be in short supply. I've never gone to the supermarket and they're like, oh, people are arguing over the eggs because they're hard to get.
Well, the other day, Christine went to the store to get eggs. Later in the day, there were no eggs. There were no eggs. Not even like, I wanted these very specific ones that we were talking about, the ones that it's from like a local farm around here, but they're a big enough farm where they're in a lot of the grocery stores around here. Not only was there none of them, there was no eggs. She's like, yeah, there's no eggs at all.
Yeah, it's 166 million egg-bearing chickens over the last.
And I need my eggs.
Yeah, no, me too.
We'll get
Rebecca's.
back to it.
We're doing a lot of eggs in this house at the minute. I just had a protein shake a minute ago. Egg in the protein shake. Rebecca's steak and eggs twice a day.
Does it make it creamy, Mike, when you do a protein shake with an egg in it? Is it like make it a little bit like more luscious?
Luscious, silky, smooth.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna try
it's
that.
good. Dude, stick the eggs in the protein shake. But according to Harrington's note, you need to be a millionaire. But that's okay, because we get $5,000 now and again for popping down to the egg. We're good. We can afford it, Helwani. Don't you
We're getting
worry
a
about us,
whole $5,000 to call fight night. Whole $5,000.
No, Harrington, what was the whole point of that though? Just to tell us that there's Easter egg. The eggs have got more expensive, and to see where the conversation took us.
Well, no, it was, I wanted to see if you guys had any other ideas, because they've suggested dyeing things like marshmallows and potatoes. And it's like, is that a better use of your time, or do you need the eggs for it to be Easter? What is the tie-in to Jesus and eggs, by the way?
Yeah. What is the, the zero.
It's from pagan
like a pagan
rituals
thing.
Adopt.
It's a marketing ploy, guys, but the big corporations to sell more eggs. That's all it is. I'm just going to say this. If you're in a situation where you need to now start painting potatoes as eggs, you need
maybe we realize it's all been silly the whole time.
You got to 10x that shit, bro.
Hey, while we're on eggs, what's your favorite way to eat eggs? If you're like, gotta have eggs, what are you having?
Over medium every time. It is a point of contention. It drives me crazy, because I go to a restaurant and they ask me, how would you like your eggs? And I always say over medium. But then don't bring me out over easy that when I touch it with my fork, I've just got slop all over the plate. If you're not going to listen to me, then don't bloody ask me. I'd rather have them over well than over easy. I don't want to touch it and then just have a yellow pile of disgusting throw up all over my plate. Baby. I don't want that.
Oh, I want all the egg throw up all over my plate.
Oh, no.
Man, sometimes I'll cook them just sunny side where the top of it is barely even cooked. Not my favorite. I do over easy. What I do is I cook it. I put a lid on it for a little bit. Then I flip it for like a second. Let it cook on the top. Flip it back. Throw it on the plate. Slice up some avocado on the side.
You do the flip?
Yeah,
No, you don't.
Yeah. I'll take a video of it next time I'm cooking it. We'll put it on the show.
You guys got
I'm pretty good at flipping eggs.
Gordon Ramsay has like a 10-minute tutorial on how to make scrambled eggs, and it's changed my life.
Oh, bro, when you actually follow like how the chefs cook their scrambled eggs and like you cook it with the right heat and then scramble it at the right time and you add the salt at the right time because you're not supposed to add it too early because it can toughen them up too quick. Some guy, Bobby Flay, puts like creme fraiche in there to kind of cream it up a little bit.
I was going to say, when you add cheese to the eggs, now we're talking. You know what I mean?
If I'm doing scrambled, I will often do that, especially if I was doing all the endurance shit and getting ready for a race, bro. I'd get like 6 eggs, just pile cheese on it, eat a whole bagel with it, a whole avocado with it, a bowl of fruit, and then maybe some candy bars in between.
Eggs are just a superfood, man. People don't realize there's so many ways to cook them. So many, and it's just delicious, man. You can have them with anything. Throw it in a
which is crazy because it used to be a food that, like in college, that was something we would all eat all the time when we were broke because they were cheap. Like we're talking about like $1 something. And I'm talking about back in college when I was there in like 2004, you could eat eggs all the time, no problem. Now, I wonder what the college kids are doing now. They're certainly not eating eggs like that.
God, what are the college kids doing these days? I don't know. Callum went to a college reunion.
Looking at a screen all the time.
And Callum didn't come home for the first time ever. We've never had this. He didn't come home. He wasn't answering his phone. He was off. He went off into Los Angeles, into the darkness. I'm like, anything could have happened. You know, I'm like, dude, just call your mom. I'm in Vegas.
Let her know. Yeah.
I'm in Vegas, like, you know, just kissing everyone's ass and licking boots, trying to get that deal.
Boot. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was. That's what I was doing.
You were waiting for a pat on the head.
I was wanting a little stroke, like Harry, my dog. I'm like, come on, give me a little stroke. Come on, please.
How's he doing?
Oh, the new dog, Ford.
The big dog. Yeah.
We heard him bark for the first time. Only one.
Was it masculine?
Oh, it was masculine. It was certainly more masculine than a Helwani bark. Let me tell you that right now. It was. It was dark. It was deep. It was gruff. It was intimidating, which is the best part. But he's doing great, man. He's a sweetheart. The only problem is that Harry, the little guy, he's so jealous, man. He's so jealous. And it's exhausting because the German Shepherd is high enough that I don't need to lean down and mess around.
Yeah, you sit there and pet him.
So as I walk in, I can stroke his head or whatever. The little pathetic Harry comes in. He's like, and he's trying to get my attention, you know. So then I've got to kneel down. I'm like, just to make him feel good. It's like, it's very unattractive. Like if anyone's going through a breakup right now and you want to get back with them, you can't be so needy. You can't be like, I love you so much. Please. Women don't want to hear that. Dog owners don't want to see that. Harry, get your shit together. He's barking at me right now. Shut up.
I heard that one.
We're talking about you, Harry. Okay.
He heard you talking shit. He's like, yo, I'm right here.
Yeah. He's like, what the bro? Years ago, this was a funny segment. When I did the show with Luis J. Gomez, we started off doing the show. Luis is a really funny guy. And I had a German Shepherd, Alfie, who's behind me. Yeah. But he never got laid. So we came up with a show called The Bitchular, not The Bachelor. We were looking for a bitch, you know, before we chopped his balls off. We got to do season 2. We got to get people, and then people were sending in their their video requests with their dogs. You know, Harrington, remember that? Because I got to say, I was doing a live and someone brought it up in the comments. And I was laughing my ass off. I've got to say, that was a good bit. Remember that, Harrington?
Dude, how could I forget the Akita who won it all?
Oh, that's right. The Japanese Akita.
That's who won the Bitchular?
The Japanese Akita. We didn't get them together, though. We were not making dog porn, you know?
Yeah. That's where you get a little slippery slope there if you go and do that.
And we're filming it and like... Go on.
In typical Believe You Me fashion, I'm pretty sure the season ended after Harry had gotten his balls clipped off.
It's Alfie's balls.
Or after Alfie got his balls clipped off.
You are correct. I
wanted to bring on this special guest.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Where's Paul gone? Oh,
this is Bella.
What?
This is a pug, yeah.
Yeah. Very bulbous
eyes.
Oh,
she does stink, babe. Oh, my God.
I didn't know what you were getting there.
Yeah, well, as soon as we were talking about dogs, Bella. I texted Christine. I was like...
Yeah. Oh, she. Oh, she's a cute little thing, though.
Oh, look at those eyes. They're always
I know.
a little juicy.
Oh, baby,
Anyway.
baby. She's not on a diet at the moment, is she, Paul?
No, she's all neck fat. She's literally all neck fat. That's Pugs. Like as soon as she got to a certain age, oh, she stinks so bad.
Oh.
Pugs tend to have like gland issues in their butts, so she smells like a dead fish right now. Unfortunately, you gotta go poop.
We had a pug. I'm not going to tell the whole story because everyone knows it, but the German Shepherd killed the pug. It's a heartbreaking story, which we don't need to go into. But we got dog stories for days, man. We got dog stories. Anyway, never mind that. UFC 314, very, very intriguing co-main event. Paddy the Baddy Pimblett on an 8-fight win streak, fighting gradually tougher and tougher opposition, as we know. Made very short work of King Green last time. Flip side, Michael Chandler is lost 4 out of 6 fights in the UFC, I believe. Fighting nothing but the best guys on the planet. Okay.
Yeah, no doubt.
And here's what I was saying. I did a video. This is kind of put up or shut up for Michael Chandler because he talks a good game and he fights a good game. I'll give him his credit, and he's been very entertaining. He's been a part of a couple of Fight of the Year candidates against Gaethje, against Poirier, and that's the caliber of guys. He's only really fought Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, the best of the best. God bless him. But nobody signs up for this just to be entertaining. We all want to get that win. We want to feel the thrill of victory. And of course, he wants to be a champ. Waited on the sidelines for a couple of years, waiting for McGregor. That wasn't his fault. That was a shame. I feel for the guy. But he's under, I would say, a lot of pressure here because, and this sounds like I'm being disrespectful to Paddy. That's not my intention. But Paddy right now is not held in the same regard as a Charles Oliveira, as a Dustin or a Justin. That's just the reality of the situation. Maybe he will one day, but right now he's not. And if Michael Chandler loses to Paddy, number one, that'll be now 5 out of 7 that he's lost, but then losing further down the rankings. So it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and I think he recognizes that too, right? And when we did an interview with him Friday, we had them both on the show at the same time to talk, and you get that sense from him that he's aware that, okay, I'm normally fighting the guys in the top 5. I'm getting closer to the belt. I'm getting the Conor McGregors coming across my desk. Now you got Paddy Pimblett. And again, this is what happens in this sport. The new guy gets to face off against these guys that are above him, that got a bigger status. And that's exactly what Paddy's situation is right now. And Michael does have to win. I mean, he's got 7 UFC fights or 6?
I think he's lost 4 out of 6.
Yeah. And he's got 5 bonuses. So like you were saying, always entertaining. And I do feel awful for him because some prime years of his career in the UFC. I mean, how long was that? Almost 2 years? You're talking at least 4 fights in that amount of time, maybe more if you fight 3 times a year, but you figure he's probably fighting at least twice a year. That's 4 fights where he could have been climbing towards that belt and he didn't. And that is a damn shame because those were probably the best years of his life to be doing that. And a lot of money, a lot of money, because when he got signed over here, he got a good contract and justifiable, right? The guy does bring it every time, but he does have to be absolutely focused in this particular fight. I think even if Michael fights smart, it's still an entertaining fight, but he has really got to go out there and secure a victory. And Paddy, I like how motivated he is. He seems really dialed in for this one. He recognizes how dangerous Chandler is, but he seems to have a confidence about him that he knows that he can get the job done. This, obviously the main event is amazing, but I'm really freaking curious to see how this one is going to play out. And Michael Chandler right now is actually an underdog going into this fight. Now, if I'm a betting man, I'm not for a pick, but if I'm a betting man, right, I think you almost have to put some money on Chandler in this one.
Chandler's the underdog. That is insane. That's insane. Yeah. And that kind of leads into what I'm going to say right now, talking about this matchup, because Paddy Pimblett doesn't get the respect that I think he deserves. Of course, he's got a massive fan base in the UK, of course, right? He's loud. He's brash. When you look at him, he doesn't look like the meanest guy. He has that hair and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the dude fights, man, right? He comes from Liverpool. And I'm telling you right now, that is a tough city. That is a tough place to grow up, and that will turn you into a fighter. That's why there's a lot of great fighters come from Liverpool. A lot of crime, a lot of gangsters, a lot of stuff like that going on as well. A lot of drug dealers and whatnot.
I've been to Liverpool before.
It's a tough place, man. You are not raised as a pussy growing up.
It snowed there, Michael, when I was there one time randomly. It snowed, and there was kids.
It snows in nightclubs most of the time as well.
I had teenage kids throwing snowballs at me, and I knew where I was, so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to ignore this and keep walking. I'm not trying to get knifed by a bunch of teenagers in Liverpool.
Well, it is the kids. It is the kids in Liverpool. Yeah. It's the little kids on the BMXs, on the mountain bikes.
Yeah.
They're the ones going around doing the shooting for the big boys. You know, all the gangsters, they'll just chuck £100, £200 to a kid, and they'll go do it because they want to work their way up the rankings. So you were smart there, Harrington.
Okay. Well, sorry. That just reminded me. Have y'all seen the show Adolescence?
Yes, I have.
Yet. No.
Oh, incredible stuff. Paul, you should check that out, especially as a father of young kids. And then I jumped on because you guys were talking about Liverpool. Paddy Pimblett had a
well, that was good. That was good. He's broken up. That was great. We were talking very well.
That. He said in an interview with Michael Chandler, he said, what happened?
Harrington? No. You've just broke. You froze and
I'm here.
Broke. Yeah. Do you want to just do?
Just intro from Paddy Pimblett had a
you totally froze up, Harry. Did he do that for you, Brian,
Sorry
as well?
about that.
Yeah, he was chopping it.
No, you're good. You're good, Mike. It happens.
How dare you have internet somewhere else?
Yeah.
Yeah, Paddy actually, you're talking about Liverpool. Paddy had a quote about that. He said, Scousers don't get knocked out. Michael Chandler reminded him that's because Scousers have never fought Michael Chandler.
I think anywhere this fight goes, I'm going to win. The only way I lose here is if I get it with a big, crazy, wild shot on the chin. And as you all know, Scousers don't get knocked out. There's no way that's happening.
And Scousers don't get knocked out, apparently, but they've never been hit by the likes of me. I'm really, really excited to test his chin. I'm going to have 1 foot on the gas, 1 foot on Paddy's throat. I'm going to throw big bombs, and we're going to see if he sinks or swims.
There was one point where they were showing their knuckles, Mike.
Oh,
they both have disgustingly messed up, gnarly hands. Do you see the size of Paddy? Looks like he's broke his hand. Look at that.
I know. Look at those hands, man.
Dudes.
They are messed up hands. I'm telling you.
Holy
it's funny. It's funny that talking about the Scousers don't get knocked out stuff. As I say, Liverpool's a tough place, but people do get knocked out regardless of what city you come from. I did that Tales from the Octagon. When I did Tales from the Octagon 2, and when I do Tales from the Octagon, I talk and then I'll show clips behind me. And it was UFC 296 or something, and Paddy was fighting Tony Ferguson. So I was doing like a preview, and I was like, having fun with it all. And at one point I was like, yeah, well, Scousers don't get knocked out, do they? And then in the background I have a clip of Darren Till getting sparked of Jorge Masvidal, right? So of course Scousers do get knocked out, and Darren Till was in the audience and I said, hold on Darren, don't worry, just to make it fair. And then I showed a clip of me getting sparked off Dan Henderson. Yeah, because I already knew Darren was going to be there, and it's like I'm trying to talk shit. I'm like, no, I got you, buddy, don't worry, just to make it fair.
Yeah.
It happens to all of us. But yeah, so
not this guy.
Come on, let's go, Paul.
But Michael, would you rather have never been knocked out or be a UFC champion?
Saying you were never knocked out is a nice badge of honor, though.
But like whenever I say that, I always know the other side of it. It's like, yeah, I may have never been knocked out, but I also never held gold. So I'd rather been knocked out a few times and held that belt for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Horses for courses, apples and pears. I don't know what that was, but getting back to it. So yeah, Paddy. Right? He's got better and better. And of course, people look at the Jared Gooden fight, which was close, right? And maybe could have gone the other way. Who cares? That's an old conversation. And I think since then, a lot of people jumped on the let's talk shit about Paddy bandwagon. The reality is he is very technical. His ground game's fantastic. When he swings on the feet, he's a bit wild. He's a little bit reckless, and he does leave a lot of openings. I think Chandler's going to be physically stronger. I think Chandler's going to hit harder. And I think Chandler's got the better wrestling. Regardless, Chandler probably isn't going to use the wrestling. Look at what happened to Bobby Green. Even though Chandler went was it 3 rounds or 5 rounds with Charles Oliveira and was able to not get submitted. So I don't think that he's going to be too concerned about that. But you're not going to play into Paddy's hands by giving him a ground fight. Okay. Yeah. So I think for the most part, he plays out on the feet. But Paddy is good at staying at distance, staying at range, using the calf kicks, chipping away and stuff like that. But he's got to tighten up when he throws punches, because I'm telling you, he does leave a lot of openings, and Chandler comes straight down the pipe and he does punch with a lot of power.
Yeah, he does hit really hard. There's no doubt about that. But I think the one thing that might help Paddy too in that situation is, even though more often than not he does have the cleaner striking, Mike's not afraid to get wild out there, right? And when he wants to go in for the kill, if he hurts him, he leaves himself open for a lot of shots too. So it could end up just being a real slobber knocker, a back and forth crazy stand-up fight. And I agree, if he takes Paddy down, which I think he can, I think Paddy welcomes it, right? I think he is very good on the ground. And he brought up the fact that everyone's saying, oh, he went through a whole fight and wasn't able to get, he wasn't submitted by Charles Oliveira. And he's like, I think I'm better than Charles Oliveira on the ground, which is a crazy thing to say. But again, still relatively early in his career. He's got a lot of time to prove all the haters wrong. And that's why he gets this opportunity right now, because he's looked good in every fight and he seems to get better. And I do think he's gotten a lot stronger. I mean, I saw him in London. He was working out in the workout rooms and I was talking to him and he had his shirt off, and dude, he's going to be strong in this one.
Well, because this is the one now. This is the fight where you start getting taken or talked about in the elite conversations, right? It's always Charles Oliveira, Islam Makhachev, Justin, Dustin, maybe one or two others. With a win here, he's there now in that kind of territory. So he is going to take it more seriously. I saw him recently, he was talking about his diet in between fights, and how he's cleaned that up big time, and as you say, he's looking in way better shape. And here's another big thing. Michael Chandler is 38 years old. If we're going to sit there and talk about Volkanovski's age at 36, then we have to talk about Chandler's age at 38 and having a lot of time on the sidelines, as well as losing fights. Call me crazy. I think Paddy Pimblett wins this fight. I think Paddy Pimblett shocks the world. I don't think it's going to be easy. And I'm happy to eat crow and eat shit and be insulted and be called biased and all the rest of it, because it's not. Paddy's got a real chip on his shoulder. When I spoke to him in London, we did a Q&A. He had like a real chip on his shoulder, because he's sick of people underestimating him. And maybe he's sick of me, like on my YouTube channel, saying, oh, well, this, that, and the other, right? Never meant any disrespect, but just you got to look at all the storylines. Chandler has fought tougher competition, but he's also 38 years old. I think Paddy can pull off a decision here.
Yeah, dude, I have also been leaning that way. Like I said earlier, if you're a betting guy,
don't lean that way.
Chandler as the underdog, but I swear to God, that's where my mind is going. And what's crazy too, as I was saying, and you were just talking about how both guys kind of get the disrespect. I think even if Paddy does win this, people are going to go, oh, well, Chandler hasn't really looked that good lately, which is, I think he's ready for that. I think he knows no matter what I do, he's that guy where people are always going to find a reason to kind of say, oh, well, you fought Chandler at 38 and this and that.
So I do a preview show for TNT Sports with Adam Catchell and Nick P. Great guys, love working with them. And we kind of had the same thing. And Nick got worked up because the way that I was talking about it, I was already saying, Michael Chandler's lost 4 out of 6. Michael Chandler's getting older. And Paddy's been saying this, to your point, and I'm glad that you brought it up. And Nick was saying, well, once again, when Paddy goes out there and beats him, everyone's just going to say, well, Michael Chandler was never that good. And it's disrespectful to Paddy. I kind of get it, but it is true. Yeah. It is true that he is 38 and he has lost 4 out of his last 6. However, Paddy's getting him at the right time, regardless. Doesn't make it an easy fight. Doesn't make it a fight or a win that you can't be proud of.
No. And it's this is how the game works. I mean, you can only fight the guys that are getting put in front of you, first of all. And oftentimes when you're climbing the ranks in MMA, we don't get easy fights, right? It's not like boxing where you're getting these tomato cans thrown your way. But what you can get is if you're a younger guy on the way up and there's somebody in the rankings ahead of you and they happen to be getting older, guess what? Either that guy who's older can prove that he belongs in that spot and he beats the young guy, or the young guy gets to move up and get that spot. I mean, that's just how sports works, right? You're trying to get what he's got. And if you beat him, granted, there's always going to be people that have something negative to say about it. But in my eyes, if Paddy goes out there and beats Michael Chandler, that is massive. I will not talk about Chandler's age anymore. But again, these are factors that have to be contributed into who we think is going to win and why. I think Paddy is the younger guy. I think he's the hungrier guy right now. And I think he has a lot of ways to win. Could Chandler go out there and absolutely smash him? Yeah. But I just like what I'm seeing from Paddy. I like that he's been a little bit more quiet. He's not being that silly, goofy self right now. He seems like he's maturing into where he's at the right time. He had a lot of good fights given to him early on, and he won them. And that's all you can do. So for him, just keep doing your damn thing, man.
So let's ask it like this, Paul. You're 40, right?
Yeah.
You're 40 years old.
Yeah.
How long you been retired?
Since 21.
4 years. So when you were 36, you're not the best example because you're a freak and you're cycling 300,000 miles a week and you're swimming across oceans and doing stupid, weird stuff. But do you feel that you're doing great stuff, by the way, but do you feel like you've slowed down a bit from when you retired to now at being 40 years old?
Yeah. And you know where I feel it is in the intensity, right? When I do go back and do MMA and train with the guys, I just don't feel like I've got that same level of just fighting through the stupid shit too. Like if I'm getting hurt and just biting down and going crazy and finding any little way to get every little thing back that I used to. And that's where I feel it. And you hear a lot of older guys say it, oh, I'm learning to train smarter. And of course you have to, but a part of that is because, well, you have to. You can't keep up the same crazy pace that you could when you were 29, when you were 30, even 31, 32, you're in the prime. Once you get 35, 36, 37, you're still a young guy, relatively speaking. But when you're fighting somebody still in their 20s who is training like that, who will do those things and sacrifice in the gym, that's where I think it pays off.
I was going to say devil's avocado real quick. Are you familiar with the term devil's avocado?
Why? I mean, I don't know why it's avocado instead of
advocate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
inside joke for you guys. Yeah.
An inside joke from years ago. But devil's avocado, you're not pushing yourself to that limit because you don't have a fight to train for. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to. You don't need to be like, okay, I'm injured. I don't care. I'm still going to the gym. It's like, I've got nothing to train for. Other than meeting up with a bunch of men and putting a bunch of lycra on and like going through the countryside and annoying all the drivers. Okay. That's the only thing you've got on your mind. You can take the day off, Paul.
Yeah. I'm ready to fight somebody on the side of the road so bad, by the way, when I'm in my lycra, when I'm out there, because so many people, I'm a very respectful bike rider and I get it because I've been annoyed at cyclists and shit. But man, one of these days, I'll, as soon as I get beeped at or what, I start screaming at them. I'm like, pull over. Pull over. What are you going to do to me? And nobody has yet.
Well, see, that's the thing, because with respect to the biking community, most of the people that are putting on the lycra and going for a bike ride,
not to be worried about. They're the
type of people tuning into Ariel Helwani's show. Okay. They're not, they're wearing the masks and they got the lycra on and they're going for a Saturday morning bike ride. They are expecting the
you should be able to tell I'm serious by the watts that I'm pushing out there and the speed that I'm going with, that I'm serious. I almost got into a fight with a mountain biker too on the road one time. And then he did realize by my intensity.
We were in San Francisco and we'd all rented bikes, right? The whole family, all five of us. And we were riding across the Golden Gate Bridge. And as you're approaching that, there's like a bit of a trail beforehand. And Rebecca doesn't ride bikes. She detests bikes. She was like, oh my God. I'm like, babe, it's going to be nice. The family, all five of us.
Family bike
on
ride.
Bikes going across the Golden Gate Bridge. That is a very popular route, by the way. There is a lot of people on bikes. And anyway, so Rebecca was going uphill for a minute and she kind of stopped and had to lean off to the side with her foot to just have a second. And then this guy who's like, he's got all the lycra on.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the helmet. He's got everything on, taking it super serious. And he starts my wife. Right?
I'm like,
what the f are you doing? I said, look at where you're at. You're in like one of the hottest tourist traps ever. I'm sorry, if you're trying to break your personal best, don't
do it here.
Don't do it here, right? And
100%.
do not speak to my wife like that, you little prick.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. And listen, even when I go on rides, there's sections that you'll go through on the route that we'll be doing where you know you're going to be in areas that there's other people. Sometimes I'll be on a bike trail. If I'm on a bike trail, I'm using that as a commute to get to the area where I'm going to go off into the, like, you know, farm areas and stuff by my house to ride hard. You got to be patient. There's old guys on their bikes. There's families and stuff. You don't want to be that guy. You're out there trying to be the hard guy where people are out casually riding a bike. You look like a dickhead.
Final question on the bikes, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll get Harrington and Brian's pick. I'm annoyed that you've picked Paddy because we need conflict on the show.
I know, but I mean, that's.
But
you want me to change my mind?
Question.
Yeah.
If you're with another cyclist and you're driving down a road where cars drive, do you go two apiece in the middle of the road? Or do you go in single file so other cars can pass? Because the two riders in the road saying, "Oh, we've got just as much right to this road as you have. I want to run them over."
Yeah, no, we don't. We try to go single file on those things. The only time that we'd ever go side to side is when we're out in the country and you can see 5 miles that way, 5 miles that way. And we kind of warn each other. Like if one guy sees it, let him know like our car's coming up and you get right in line. Yeah. But people do it all the time, man. And it gets frustrating. I get it. Yeah. Hey, I get it. And I do most of my riding, honest to God. I do it in my garage on my smart trainer and do all that kind of stuff because it's just, I can get a way better workout. Guess what? When you're riding indoors on the smart trainer, there's no break. You don't stop pedaling when you're not really riding on the road. Anyway. It's boring talk.
But you're not getting out and about. You're not getting the vitamin D. You're not getting Mother Nature. You're not getting the oxygen in your lungs. Don't start again because we're bringing on Harrington and Brian. I've had enough
this
talk.
Weekend. I'm aiming for a 100-miler this weekend. 100-miler.
Quick, Harrington and Brian, join the show. Quick.
The weather does not
going
look
into
good,
another anecdote about riding bikes. Indoor bikes.
Guys, what's your FTP?
I don't know what that means.
I don't even know what that means.
Functional threshold.
Yeah, it's probably pretty low.
Harrington and Brian.
I got the best one.
First. Sure. Who wins? Paddy or
Iron Mike.
Oh,
I'm going Iron Mike all the way.
Here we go. We got some new looks.
I don't know if he smokes him.
Does he finish him?
Yeah, I think all of his wins have been finishes. No, so I would have to imagine, that
I can't remember.
Listen, I don't know, man.
Long since he had a win, you can't remember, Paul. Jesus, the disrespect. You've gone full hell on it. I'm just these days. I don't care.
I must have had 100 milligrams today.
Let's go. Yeah, that's
you know what I think it is?
Would have seen me on Saturday night.
In Paul's heyday, right? You were a top 5 lightweight in the company while Michael Chandler was a champion over at Bellator. So it's almost like that rival high school thing you have with Chandler, where it's like you gotta pick on the guy from the other organization.
Little dig, and it's nothing but respect. But when Michael got signed, I was one of the first people that said, "Me, I want to do it." I didn't get it. Hooker got it, and other people got it, but. Again, I have nothing. I'm just busting balls.
We're going to throw it to Aslan for his pick.
That's me. All right.
It's a compliment. You're looking good, Brian. You're looking good.
It. I really usually pick Michael Chandler, but after seeing that monkey knuckle that Paddy Pimblett has, I think that's like an extra weapon you're just bringing in. It's like,
yeah, dude. That's nasty.
A lot of mass.
Yeah. Brian, just pull up that. Have you got that image handy? Can you do that? Because I must admit, because Chandler was shot. I mean, my camera's very far away. I got to, to give you a real good. Like,
yeah, I don't have crazy.
But then when Paddy brought his up, I was like, holy shit, that looks like a guy that's been he looks like he's punched a few walls.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. Yeah, that can't be
the wrist is.
And Mike's got pretty big knuckles.
Oh, yeah.
But then Paddy pulls out that
thing.
Look at
That's a golf ball.
That's deformed.
Bro, why? Yeah, and it's like purple still. He definitely broke that bad at some point.
Bro.
Like in the last year.
Yeah, that looks like maybe it's broken now.
the first knuckle is gigantic, right? That's swollen beyond belief.
But then the other
second
knuckle's like
looks
hidden.
like it's all shrunk out, shrunk
Yeah.
down. And then the top three are really visible.
That third
Yeah.
knuckle is up, but you can't even really tell because the first
how big
knuckle
that
is
first
so
knuckle
Well, the fourth is non-existent. It's been broken that many times or something.
Dude, I got
Wow.
nervous there for a second. I'm looking at the hand too. I was like, it looks like a scratch. It doesn't
that's
look
a
like it's
weapon.
anything.
It's not staff. Before it
So I was like, oh God, please don't be that.
Yeah. That's a disgusting hand. Still looks better than my feet.
Boy, I got busted feet.
Oh, my feet are bust up, man. My feet are bust up. All right. So Harrington had Chandler and Brian.
Yeah.
Who did you have, Brian? Did you give a pick? You did.
Yeah, I think Paddy's gonna win because he's bringing in illegal objects.
Yeah, he's concealing.
All right, today's episode is sponsored by Betterhelp, that is going to help you get professional therapy done online, done very, very conveniently, and it's going to help you save some money. Let's talk numbers. Traditionally, in-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session, which of course, that adds up very quickly. But with Betterhelp online therapy, you can save on average up to 50% per session. With BetterHelp, you pay a flat fee for weekly sessions, saving you big on cost and on time. Therapy should be accessible, not a luxury. With online therapy, you get quality care at a price that makes sense, and it can help you with anything from anxiety to everyday stress to substance abuse, alcohol issues, whatever it is, your mental health is worth it, and now it is within reach. I've done this myself. I've talked about it many times. I did some anger management counseling. I am telling you right now, speaking to a licensed professional therapist will help you understand things on a much deeper level, okay? And of course, it's very, very convenient. You don't have to drive to the other side of town. You haven't got to find a parking space. You haven't got to sit uncomfortably in a doctor's waiting room. And with over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. As I say, very convenient. You just join with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life, and you can switch therapists at any time. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/believe to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP, betterhelp.com/believe. Dude, we've been going for ages. We've still got more fights to get through, so let's get going to this. Bryce Mitchell, Jean Silva, good versus evil.
Oh, man.
Flat Earth versus Christian. Lord Assassin versus Bryce. We'll just leave it at that. I like Bryce. Bryce is awesome. He's great. He's kind of gone off the deep end a little bit lately, right? With the Hitler stuff, whatever. We've been there a million times talking about what he does inside the octagon. Very good wrestling. Very, very good wrestling. Lost to to Josh Emmett, of course. First interaction then they had, he got clipped and knocked out, and he was shaking. Then he comes back and beats what's his face, Kron Gracie. To be fair, Kron Gracie isn't the best MMA fighter. Dangerous jiu-jitsu, Bryce took him out. Jean Silva is knocking everybody out. I think if this stays on the feet, Bryce is in a lot of trouble here. But what do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bryce needs to be shooting constantly in this fight. As soon as it starts, make him grapple the entire time, because Jean Silva is just too slick, too powerful, having too much fun in there. I got nothing against Bryce other than the bullshit that he said before, like you said. I think it's going to be competitive early. I think he's going to have to really fight off some takedowns. But, man, I don't know if I can go against Jean Silva in this one. I think he's going to get it done, and he's probably going to find a way to knock him out.
Jean Silva versus Bryce Mitchell. It's a tricky one. I got to go with the Lord Assassin. I'm sorry, Bryce, if you see this. Just stylistically, I mean, he's so clean. He's so clean. And
he is fighting with the power of Christ, though.
He's fighting with the power of Christ. And I think the Lord Assassin is fighting with the power of Christ as well.
That's the
problem. Show me a Brazilian that isn't
who's not fighting with the power of Christ. Yeah.
Heavily into religion. I don't know if they exist. Okay.
I think Jean Silva should come out to like some very religious song just to get to him a bit.
I think Jesus sits this one out. Okay. This will be one of the rare occasions. It'll be one of the rare occasions where he won't use his influence and his powers to choose a winner. Because we know every other fight he's up there on his throne And he's like,
We should have got his. We should have got his pick.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Have you
I'll
seen
talk to him later.
Have you seen the show,
Hello.
The Righteous Gemstones?
It sounds really familiar. I feel like I have.
Dude, it's like it's Kevin McBride. What's he called?
Kenny Powers.
No. Yeah, but the actor, Kenny Powers.
Yeah, Danny McBride.
He's
You nailed
Danny
it,
McBride. Danny McBride, yeah. It's his new show. It is so good. You got to watch it. Anyway,
check it
sorry,
out.
you just made me think of it because they're doing a show on it called Teen Jesus. I don't know why my mind went there. I've got ADHD, but if you haven't seen it, check it out, bro. It is so funny. You will laugh your
Righteous
head off.
Gemstones.
The Righteous Gemstones. The first episode takes a little bit to get going, but anyway, it's all about they're basically charlatans, like Joel Osteen, the mega churches and flying around the world in private jets and stuff. It's a comedy based around the family that do that, and it is wild. It is hilarious. It's laugh out loud funny. Check it out, man. You will laugh. You will laugh. But yeah, Jesus will sit this one out and will leave mortal man to settle their problems.
Unless the devil chimes in, he might be picking a side.
Oh, Jesus. Who's the devil?
I mean,
this one.
According to Bryce, it would 100% be the possessed Jean Silva.
Because when he started barking, that was the
felt
demon.
The demons. He felt the demon. Yeah.
Because he was going roar, roar. What was he?
Yeah,
was
he's possessed.
barking?
Yeah, he does all kinds of crazy shit.
See, points to consider.
Yeah. I wonder if the odds makers are taking that into consideration, though. I don't think so. They should.
I wouldn't mind being possessed by a demon if I was going into a cage. Sounds like a benefit.
It might be the time to do it.
That'd be if the demon is going to take hold of me, do it when I'm in the octagon, for crying out loud.
Yeah,
Don't do it
there.
at
Time we have Bryce Mitchell on, he's going to confront you about saying that, right?
Yeah, but don't do it at Sunday lunch, okay? If you're gonna,
that's not the time.
Do it in the middle of an octagon. All silliness and jokes aside, and of course, come on, we're just being silly. If you're a very religious person, we respect all cultures and faiths. We're just having a laugh, guys. I think it's a tremendous fight. I think Jean Silva, I just think he's on a roll right now. I think he's probably maybe got more ways to win. But I tell you what, Bryce Mitchell is very motivated.
Yeah, I hope Jean doesn't overlook him. That would be my only worry, is that he goes in too confident in this fight. And then if Bryce gets him on the ground and there's a scramble that happens, I mean, there's ways for him to win.
Yeah, and Bryce, because of all the noise, shall we call it, listen, we had that bell end talking about me on his social media, Helwani the other day. So you get a few DMs of their little sycophants, So I'm sure that Bryce Mitchell has had his inbox has just been flooded with hate and abuse and stuff like that. And you can take that two ways. You can let that affect you, and you kind of get withdrawn, and back away and shy away from the world, or you can use it as motivation, and if Bryce has harnessed that and channeled it the correct way, then he could have or cause a real problem for Jean Silva. But my pick's Jean Silva. Harrington and Brian, real quick. We got more fights. Come on.
All right, I'm on record as saying I don't plan on betting against the Fighting Nerds, but that's until I saw they're giving me Bryce Mitchell a plus 250. Simply as an odds proposition, I have to take that. In a vacuum, I think Jean Silva, you'd be crazy not to lean him a little bit, but at over 2.5 to 1, I don't see how you don't take Bryce Mitchell, take a stab at it.
And just for non-American viewers right now, the plus 250, because people in the UK and other countries don't really know what that means. If you put $100 on Bryce Mitchell, you will win $250. So you'll walk away with $350.
I think the odds would be 2 to 5 in Britain, something like that.
Right. Yeah, something like that. Exactly. Brian?
I'm going with Bryce Mitchell hitting him with the flat earth. Bam.
Ooh, hitting him over the head. Harrington, give us point number 1.
In the non-MMA, a new study has come out that says men, by and large, are more loyal to their barber than their romantic partner. This study is used the divorce rates and people breaking up versus how often the people in the study went to go find a new barber, and they found it was about 11% more likely to stick with your barber than to stick with your mate.
What are you talking about? What? Hold on. So I'm looking at it here. A study. I mean, this is what Harrington puts in the notes. So I was genuinely intrigued. I haven't looked at it at all. A survey, a London-based lifestyle research company reveals that over 75% of the men remain more devoted to their barbers than their partners. Right. So what they're saying is they're more loyal in terms of they will always go to that barber.
Yeah.
Than what they will with their wife.
I am not in that. I've cheated on my barber so many times. I was going to cheat on him this weekend with our guy at the Apex, but I didn't have time to get in the chair. So, Jesus, calm down.
Is that the dog? What's it called again? Bella. Get her up here. Let me see Bella. Bella. Oh God. So no, it's comical. Hey, Bella, let's go. So
a little breathe into that mic. Let them hear you breathe.
Oh God, it sounds like Harrington barking. Oh dear. The problem is right now as well, because Ford, I told you about the problem with the ass and the fistula.
Yeah.
He's constantly licking his own ass. So at night we have to put this big cone on him. He looks and he's walking around the house. He's big enough as it is, knocking everything off with this, and then you can just hear, like, stop licking your own ass. Stop it. Stop licking your ass. Because
dogs can be so annoying with it because it's like it'll be quiet for a second. You just like, even if it's their feet, you just see them.
Giving yourself a rim job. Come on, pack it in. What are you doing? Oh dear. Well, that was more fun to talk about the barbers. But what if your barbers are female? I mean, my regular hairdresser, and my hairdresser is going to be devastated because I haven't been twice now because we get the free haircut at the Apex. She's probably she's probably watching on ESPN going,
that's not my haircut.
Because I've been to her for 14 years since I've lived here. She's been the only girl I go to.
So right there, though, you're kind of making that stat justified. That fact for 14 years, you're pretty much going to the same hairstylist.
Because she gives a very good haircut. And all the other places, all the barbers around here in Orange County, they got a cool vibe. And I like that. There's a very manly vibe. You go in, there's got good music. They say, do you want a beer and stuff like that? And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But then the cut looks like shit. Now I like it because they do the whole treatment and they do like they give you like a little massage and the stuff and the straight razor and all that shit. And you got some music on, you got some like sports and people having a beer and shit. I feel like a real man. Okay. Yeah. But then the haircut sucks. So I go to Francesca and I go in there and it's a proper salon. Okay. Yeah. And it's women and they're all getting, it's as girly as it can be. And I definitely get my man card revoked. I walk in there, and a couple of people have been there, like with the girlfriends, going, Michael Bisping, what the f are you doing in here?
Here, bro.
This is where I get my haircut. Very hell-warny of me, I know. But still, what are you going to do?
The place I go to out here, it's just a basic barber shop. I wish they had like drinks and stuff like that, because I've been to places like that where they've got old fashions, beers. You can get espresso, all that kind of stuff. That's, but then sometimes you're right. You're like, you give me a lot of cool shit, but maybe that's because you're just covering up the fact that you're just going to give me a basic ass haircut too.
Exactly. Anyway, Yair Rodriguez returns against Patricio Pitbull. Here's another guy, getting older. I think Patricio's 40. I think so. I mean, he was a 4-time Bellator champion, 37 years old. 37, he's got knockout power, and he knocked out Michael Chandler with a wild overhand right way back in the day, though. That was a long time ago. Where was it? I'm just looking at his record. That was 2019, 6 years ago. Overall, 36-7. He's been dying to come over to the UFC for a little bit. Of course, he was in Bellator for a while. Now here he is. Gets his chance to make his UFC debut. Tough fight against Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah.
At 37 years old, is he going to maximize that, Paul? Or is it going to be like too little too late?
I think for this one, I think it's going to be too little too late against somebody like Yair. You come over the UFC, and that's the problem. Even though you've had a very storied career, you've had amazing accomplishments. If you get here that late and then they give you a young guy like Yair, who's had amazing fights, who's very dynamic, who's very skilled, and I think very hungry to go out there and really have a solid performance this time around, I think it's going to be a rough night. I think he'll show that he belongs there, but I see Yair winning this fight.
Yeah, Yair's only 32. Yes, he's lost his last two. Brian Ortega, Volkanovski. No shame in that. Hasn't fought for a year either. But Rodriguez, when he's on, man, when he's on, poetry in motion. Beautiful to watch. He's nasty as well. He's good on the ground. Remember that triangle over Josh Emmett in Perth, Australia. And again, with Patricio being 37 years old, maybe it's a little bit too late. It goes back to what we said. If we're going to say it about Volkanovski, if we're going to say it about Mike Chandler, then how are we not going to say about Patricio Pitbull when he's making his UFC debut, which brings a lot of pressure, because it's like, okay, I'm finally here. I'm in the big show. This is the place now where I can make the most money, where I can finish my career on a high, potentially get 2 good wins, fight for the belt, finish making millions and millions of dollars, which he definitely didn't do when he was over there in Bellator. Right?
Yeah,
now we can come over here to the UFC and really maximize on all the blood, sweat, and tears, a lifetime of sacrifice in the martial arts, driving his body into the ground. Here it is, big moment, but it's sink or swim against Yair Rodriguez on a pay-per-view. It's a lot of pressure there.
Yeah, big time pressure. Big time pressure. They, coming in here and again, it's not only a tough opponent, but again, on that card, a lot of eyeballs, big arena. I think Yair is going to be a little too much for him. Who you got?
Yep. Yeah, no, I've got Yair. I got Yair as well. I think he keeps him at distance. And then opening up Nikita Krylov, taking on Dominic Reyes. I love Krylov. He's a very, very cool guy. He's dangerous. He's big. He's aggressive. Dominic Reyes is on a resurgence. Last time out there, put quite the beat down on Anthony. Anthony wasn't in the best place. We all know that, but still it was a good win. And then he knocked out Dustin Jacoby before that in the first round. I'm going to pick Krylov. I'm going full Krill.
Man. Well, I hate to agree with you here, Michael, but I also am going with. I can only be honest with you. I swear to God, I'm not trying to just pick your picks. I love Nick.
You won't manufacture beef. You won't manufacture beef so we can get more clicks.
We're on the wrong show.
And curry favor.
We're on the wrong show.
No,
I like Krylov. I think he's good. He's tough as shit. He's on a roll too, I think, right?
Yeah. No, he is.
Won.
Is he? I think 3 in a row.
1, 2, 3 fights. Yeah. Knocked out Gus. Decision over Ozdemir. And knocked out, submitted Ryan Spann. So, I mean, dude's got 2 finishes, one of which was a bonus against Gustafsson. And Reyes, I know he's got 2 wins, but he was on a big skid. And how old's Reyes now, too? Oh, now it's just going to be the age game at this point.
It is. It's the age game, but we've gone full Krill.
He's 35.
Yeah, but he's a light heavyweight. It doesn't matter. No,
true.
He's
you can be 40 at light heavyweight. That's true.
Paul, how are you doing for time? Because I know you've got to look after your mother today.
Oh, I'm good. Yeah,
you got a few more minutes. You good? You good?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you got a question, send it in to bympod@gmail.com. You know the drill by now. Subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment, like, all that jazz. Dislike everything that Ariel Helwani does.
Yeah, we got to.
I'm joking.
The believers
I literally
out there
couldn't
now.
care less, but it was just so pathetic. It was really pitiful of him to do that. Anyway, Harrington, jump on. Do we have any big news stories? We've gone through the main card, the prelims. There's some really good fights on the prelims as well. Dan Ige, Sean Woodson. I'm looking forward to that one. I think that's going to be a tremendous fight. Jim Miller, Chase Hooper, friend of the show. Both guys are friends of the show. Both guys are awesome. What do you think on that real quick, Paul? Chase Hooper, Jim Miller.
Man, I was actually talking to Chiesa about Chase Hooper. He's trained with him quite a bit. He said he's becoming a freak, man. He said he is a big kid for 155 pounds. And the fact that he used to make 45, he said he used to have to go full vegan, change his whole lifestyle even to make that weight. And Mike really believes a lot in him in this one. I think he can get it done. I think Jim Miller's the betting underdog in that one. If you're, again, like Harrington was talking about with some of these fights, I think if you're a betting guy, you kind of have to put some juice on Jim Miller in that one. But I absolutely can see Chase Hooper getting it done. But if I had to pick, I'm picking Jim.
Yeah, because you got to, because it's Jim freaking Miller.
Can't pick against
You can't go against Jim. You're just kind of a dick. Because, like, Chase has got his entire life ahead of him.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
exactly.
mean? This might be Jim's last ever fight. We don't want it to go around. Everyone, in my last fight, everyone, all my peers, all my buddies, people in the pocket, they all picked me to lose. And they were right. I got knocked out. But they wouldn't even go out on a limb just a little bit for potentially my last ever fight when all I've done is represent this sport to the highest degree with class and honor and bravery. I don't miss weight. I finish fights and all that shit. And these pricks are out there saying I'm going to lose. He's got a very good chance of losing. But publicly, I'm going to say that Jim Miller gets it done.
Same.
Herringbone.
All right. Couple of big stories. First one, Mystic Mike. You called it on last week's show. You said next up for Prada is going to be Ian Garry. That is the new main event for UFC Kansas City. They've decided not to find a replacement for Jamal Hill. They are instead going to keep that booking together for a later date. This is your new main event.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And I got to say, again, big credit to Ian Machado Garry on taking on another absolute stud on short notice, stepping in. He did it against Shavkat. Didn't get the win, but showed that he is way more elite than I think a lot of people were giving him credit for. And he gets a chance to do that again against one of the most dangerous strikers in the welterweight division. And I can see him getting it done.
Hey, it's very possible. It's very possible. But Prates is one of my favorite guys right now. Love watching him fight. Fair play to Ian Garry. You know, people out there talk a bit of shit. You can't say, I mean, it's short notice as well. Just a few weeks notice, right? So, you know, God bless him. Fair play, fair play, fair play. Harrington, let's bang through these news stories real quick. And then Paul can go live his life and be a good son. And I can go get some sun on myself. I've got a crew coming round to the house on Wednesday. So I'm like trying to tan up a little bit, trying to get outside. So let's go. Number 2, Bosch.
All right. Number 2, I think this is interesting. Reports are coming out that the reason you've seen no movement from Islam Makhachev is because he's waiting on the result of the Belal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena fight before deciding what he wants to do next.
Oh, interesting. So if Belal loses the title, he might want to just bump up and go out there. Ooh, man, I'm already calling it. You know what? I'm not saying I think Belal is going to lose, but let's just hypothetical world. Okay.
Are you calling that fight?
No. But hypothetical world, let's say he loses.
You could have got out of the Apex if you tried hard.
You know, I actually had to turn that one down because the day before is Ashling's birthday.
I never got asked.
Wow.
I'm not bootlicking hard enough. I didn't get asked.
You better step it up, Mike.
I better step up the bootlicking, bro.
But hey, you know where you're going? Azerbaijan, so don't worry about it. You're getting those big step ups.
And I've been all over. I have been out of the Apex. I've been to Seattle, to Saudi, to London, to Sydney, to all over the place in just the last couple of months.
You're going to Iowa, right?
I'm going to Iowa. I'm going to China. I'm going to Thailand. I'm going all over the place. We're going to Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan, baby.
So I will say this. I don't think that matters, Harrington. Going back to the question. I think that Islam Makhachev, this is nothing, no insider knowledge. He's going to fight Ilia Topuria and he's going to have to take it and eat it like a man. That's what I think is going to end up happening. They're going to say, look, listen, no, that's the matchup we're making. He's the featherweight champion. And I don't think Islam is scared of it. I don't think that Islam really cares too much. You know, of course, he recognizes threats and stuff like that. But the problem is that he fought Volkanovski twice. He wants that opportunity, but I think Ilya came out and said they told him he would get a shot at lightweight if he vacated the belt. And I think, like, if the UFC, I mean, what's he going to do? Refuse? I don't think Islam Makhachev is going to refuse to fight him. So my guess is that'll be the fight we see: Islam versus Topuria.
Especially if Belal wins, then it's like, okay, well, you don't want to fight
exactly.
him. So,
what are you going to do? Wait around for 6 months and he wins? Go.
All right.
Out of there. Speed news.
All right. I'm sticking on the Belal Muhammad train here. Cejudo and Kamaru Usman are making the case that Belal Muhammad is essentially just doing Colby Covington, despite the fact that he's saying, you know, how much he hates on Colby and his antics. He's stolen a lot from the playbook. If you want to play this short little clip here.
I mean, is that too low? Is Belal Muhammad going a little too low, bro, on that? Especially, you know, he's not, you know,
listen, I don't think
spiritual guy, Muslim.
I don't think that's
Is that
very
too much, Kamaru Dean?
I don't think that's what, you know, that's very Muslim-esque. I don't think that we don't care about that, you know. So it is what it is, you know. Like you said before, this is a guy that really is, for as much as you say you don't like Covington for what Covington did to get to the top of the division and how he talks to people, you're not far from it right now. And I think a lot of fans see that, and a lot of fans understand that as well. But
okay, thoughts, Paul?
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between what Belal does and what Colby does, and maybe Belal has, especially with Strickland and things like that, gone a little too low. But Belal does a lot of his stuff. He's trolling and having a time with it more than he is trying to be that character. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've talked to Belal on the side several times after some of the things he says, and he'll just be laughing at me. Even at the Apex the other day when he was cornering, he's just kind of, I'm pointing at him, I'm doing this to him, and he's just like laughing at it and texting me about selling bikes and shit and messing with me all the time. So that's just, he's just having a time with it. I wouldn't say he's Covington X.
Usman's just trying to get that fight. That's what's going on there. He's trying to fabricate or manufacture beef so he can curry a title fight. No, but he is. He's just talking shit because he's trying to annoy Belal. Belal then responds, says something. Then the media start talking about it. And Kamaru Usman was one of the best welterweight champs of all time. And lo and behold, all of a sudden, it's Kamaru Usman versus Belal Muhammad. That's all Kamaru is doing. Go ahead. Number 5.
You are a promoter at heart, Michael Bisping. UFC 317 is going to be the crown jewel of International Fight Week. It got its first matchup, Brandon Royval versus Manel Kopp, in a showdown between two of the top contenders in the division.
Jump off a sec, Harrington. I'm gonna finish this with this, Paul. What's your pick for the main event of International Fight Week? Because Manel Kopp and Brandon Royval is going to be a great fight. Can't wait to see that. I don't think that's going to be the main event. What is your choice, your pick, not hope, realistic pick for main event International Fight Week?
Yeah, well, ever since Jones and Aspinall is probably getting pushed further, I'm thinking what we were talking about before, if that Ilia Topuria and Islam fight probably plays out, I think that is the place that you could put that and get a lot of attention. I can't think of another bigger, you know what I mean? Where is there more star power? You got one?
I've got it. Well, I don't know about more star power, but it's International Fight Week. We're representing the four corners of the globe. We want a little spicy international flavor. You grab a Chechen, okay? An undefeated Chechen. Then you go down to South Africa and you grab South Africa's finest. You put them together in an octagon in Las Vegas. That is my pick for International Fight Week. Khamzat Chimaev taking on Jurek Duplessis. Okay, mate? It's going to be the main event. I can't do a real good South African, mate. It's not bad. It's not. It's now turning into Dutch.
It's Dutch, yeah. I was going to say, you're getting Dutch. You're getting Dutch.
The Dutch, they were actually the settlers in South Africa. That's why they talk like this. Anyway, yeah, that's my pick.
That's a good one. That went completely under my radar.
All right.
Yeah,
That would do.
That would do well.
All right. Well, listen, we have waffled on for long enough. As I said, bynpod@gmail.com. That is the email if you want to send in a question. Please do that. Brian, what do we have today?
Today we have a question from Jake Williams about handling injuries.
Hello.
Our speciality.
I'm Jake from Jersey, Channel Islands. This is my question. I recently got a grade 2 AC joint injury. I've tore a ligament or a tendon and damaged a nerve in my shoulder, so it's pushed my bone up. I think I read that you had a similar injury, Michael. Paul, if you did, I'd like to know how you guys dealt with it, involving like training and was the limb the same, etc. What did you do for it? At the moment, I can't train, so I've been reading a lot. The podcast is great. I really enjoy it.
Just pause it a sec, Bryce. He needs to read up on, because a second ago his volume came through really good and then it dipped again. He needs to read a book on how to send the question into bynpod@gmail.com. No offense though, mate. Thank you very much. Go on, Brian, play the rest.
Truthfully, I just obsess over stuff. But yeah.
McGregor's book.
If you guys have had injuries that have affected you long term, how have you dealt with them? Obviously, Michael, your eye is quite an obvious one. But just in general, if there's injuries you've had, like my shoulder, or in general that's affected you, how have you worked around them? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm only teasing, by the way. Thank you for taking the time and sending a question in and being a supporter of the show and reading all those books and all that good stuff. Paul, do you know anything about injuries?
I've had a few. And, it's always tough when guys ask us, about, we all.
I've got the sternum clavicle thing. It popped out. Collarbone.
Yeah. I had my collarbone dislocated and my first rib was really messed up before I fought Danny Castillo, and I just had to work around it and work everything else you can. I always tell people, whenever you have an injury, obviously treat it, go to PT, go get rehab, if you're not getting surgery, and just there's always something you can do. If you hurt your leg, you can do upper body. If you hurt your lower body, you can do upper body, and you can work on something. So I would just say really focus on the things you can do and you can work. And also, like he's doing, obviously, as a kid who's reading a lot of books, who's into things that are going to motivate him, focus on that. Read up about it. What can you learn yourself on how to treat that? If you're somebody that reads a lot, there's tons of books, there's tons of videos, and learn how to treat whatever the issue that you're having, but work around it as best you possibly can.
See, that's why we need you on the podcast, because I would have given him the full meathead approach. Just got to work through it. You got to suck it up. Okay. How badly do you want this? Never mind it. Show up at the gym. Work your ass off. You're making excuses. I would have given him one of them, but no.
Suck it up.
Right. He said, well, what's your problem? We all got injuries, bro. Yeah, no, if you hurt your left hand, work your right hand. If you hurt your left leg, work your right leg. Yeah, I like that.
I mean, I broke my right arm in that Perry fight and had a splint on for a while, and I was still hitting pads every day. I would do jab, kick, jab, switch kick, low kick. So just do what you can.
No, exactly. You've always got to work around it. Go on, Harrington.
I just had a book recommendation. Keep Your Spirits Up. Way of the Peaceful Warrior. It was written by an Olympic gymnast who had a bad injury and talked about overcoming that and dealing with new expectations in life due to that. I don't know. It's pretty good.
Yeah. And to be honest, if it is something, if you're trying to become a fighter or a professional sportsman or whatever, and you are injured, it doesn't mean you got to stop whatever and just sit on the sidelines and do nothing. You can think mentally, just thinking about techniques in your mind strengthens the neural pathways of the technique. If you're learning an armbar and you learn how to do the armbar, thinking about doing that over and over and over and over, you will actually be able to do the armbar better. That's just one little example of how that works. But then, just you focus on other areas, read up, work around it, do whatever you can. Right, Paul, we're doing whatever we can. You're doing whatever you can. We're doing it pretty well.
Yeah, I'm smashed right now, and I'm still trying to work.
Are you on the 100 milligrammers again?
No. I just meant injury-wise, I'm all smashed. No, I'm not smashed. No, not yet. Not yet. Maybe later tonight when we're watching some kids' cartoons or something like that.
Might be doing a little live for the fights on Saturday on this channel. If anyone's interested, or on my personal channel, I'm not sure. But check it out. We'll let you know. Thanks for watching. See you next week.